Okay, I have here a challenge lock. It's called Dangermouse by Pinball, and here's the key. But you may notice, oh, there's no lock in there because this lock is ridiculous, and I have not successfully picked it. So instead, I'm just going to show you what is in it because it's pretty amazing. So it just starts as an ABUS 83. There's our nice engraving. Dangermouse, otherwise basic ABUS brass shackle padlock body, nothing special there. Put that over there. Comes with some lines engraved onto it. Those are to help you with gutting. Normally you don't need special lines for gutting, so here's our Bible. There's nothing fancy about that. Just normal. Put it over there. The lock does come with its own special follower and a whole booklet of instructions on how to gut the thing. So here it is gutted. Put it on this cardboard box just to bring it up a bit closer. So we have just the screws that hold the back piece on. The Bible, obviously. So let's start here. Here's our core. There's that keyway, NZ1, which is mighty tight. I found it actually quite difficult to get most picks into there properly through the warding holes, but it is possible, especially with 12th hour. That worked pretty well. So anyway, there it is. Now you may note it's got all these channels milled into it that go on both sides. They don't really need to be massively on both sides because the padlock only really goes one way, but it does go both ways. And then on top of that, well, around the front, there's just this little sleeve that sits on. That's more of like just a spacing thing than anything. And then we have this sleeve that sits here like so. So this creates like a counter milling, similar to a counter milling. So if we look at these key pins, the key pins are all standard, nothing exciting on those. And the driver pins are all these little gin bottles. So gin bottle goes in, you apply tension to the core, it binds into this, the pin binds into the sleeve, pin lifts up, gets into the sleeve milling, and gets stuck. Now, you could then counter rotate back around and you could lift up and out of that sleeve. That would be the normal idea. However, what makes this slightly more difficult is this is the bottom of the plug, rear of the plug. So it sits on like this. So when it's all together, that's what it looks like. Now, already it's tricky. So sits like that. Now you'll note the sleeve then has a little bit of room it can slop. That is quite important. Basically, it means to counter rotate it back, you kind of have to go back beyond the neutral point because you'll nab it across and you'll end up in this sort of deep false set across like this with your pins sort of locked up like that. And then you'll try and counter rotate back, but the sleeve won't have moved. So even though you're bouncing, nothing will happen until you get it all the way back and then it pushes the sleeve across. And then everything you've set will drop back down again and be back at square one. Hopefully that makes sense. It's sort of difficult to describe this, and once it's assembled you can't see it, but and then when they're under this sleeve, obviously they will rotate across and get stuck at the end if it goes far enough. So you need to get them all the way up. That one just came out of there. Yeah, it's pretty ingenious. I've seen sleeves before, but they're usually fixed. This is the first one with a fully free-floating inner sleeve. Normally that would create bricking chance, but the fact that it can move just a little bit means I have not gotten it any further than the sort of initial false set on the thing, where you're getting all the gins up into the sleeve. but I don't think I've ever successfully gotten one back out of the sleeve, let alone all 6 of them. So it is brutally difficult. I'm not 100% sure how you would even go about single pin picking this, to be honest. You could probably get lucky with a rake or a snap gun or something, but it would be a matter of getting quite lucky. I'm certainly not going to do that to it. Springs. Yeah, you could probably get it with a snap gun if you were lucky. I did try like common picking them all the way up and then try and drop them back down, and that really just got me into that same false set again, which when it's in the lock body, it would sit. Had that ring in it. Put that back on. So when it's in the lock like that, I was able to pick it to about there, but never any further, just to about there, which is in that, clearly in the sleeve. So you need to get it to about there to open the actual padlock. These timing marks are just to line up for the gutting, so when you slide it out, it doesn't brick itself. But it's a convenient false set indicator as well. So there you go. This is a Dangermouse. I think the best way to pick this would be with a Sputnik of some kind. If you don't know, a Sputnik is basically a tool that holds all the pins up at the same height. So it's just like 6 different wires that will go through and you screw them up. So it's like dit. Does that make sense? So they start like all flat, and you screw this one up, and then you screw that one up, and then you can screw that one up. And when they're all at the right heights, it'll open. So you can keep them up. That way you could actually clear this sleeve even with the resets and feedback. So there you go. I'm not likely to be picking this, even knowing now what's inside it. Yeah, I think this is beyond my skill set. So well done, Pinball, on making Dangermouse. It is a very difficult challenge lock. You've done a great job. Nice machining work. And now I have to find some poor sucker who thinks they might actually be able to open this thing, because it sure won't be me.